promised today. I'm certain will bring prosperity and success to the various ventures that each of you are involved with. So we ask you to give us about maybe another 5-10 minutes. So at approximately 4:15 this afternoon, we're going to start the formal engagements. In the meantime, we do have rum punch and other soft drinks at the front. This is a networking experience. You're not going to be looked upon differently if you serve yourself. So please enjoy, sit back, and give us a few minutes, and we'll start shortly. Thank you.
Bishop Harvey and Monsignor Pereira delivered a joint
Sorry? Which one is that, Joe? Don't be afraid, walk up.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Good afternoon. Are we here? All right. I just want to extend my thanks to each and every one of you for taking time on a lovely day like today, in the middle of our busiest season ever, Spice Mass, to come to meet with friends. and family and connect. I want to express my gratitude to the management of this lovely establishment. Put your hands together for Chateau de la Motte, please. Thank you. And the esteemed Mr. Garfield de la Motte, thank you for your grace, sir. And because we are aspiring to do something very classy, very different, but deeply grounded in our Grenadian roots, understanding that together we are powerful, understanding that each and every one of us, when we pool our resources and talents together, we can only succeed together. And so I also want you to put your hands together for one of the persons who conceptualized this idea of Jamii. And Jamii, for your edification, means community, togetherness, in the Swahili language, which is a universal African language that most of us in the diaspora like to associate to bring us together. So put your hands together for Mr. Nigel Jones, please. And it shows that whether you are a Grenadian planted as far north as the North Pole, or as south, far south as what? Antarctica? Not many of us live down there, but wherever we are, this common thread that bonds us together must always be that place we go to find ourselves, to do business, to socialize, and to network. Family is everything, and we are a family as Grenadian people and as a community. So family, I want to thank you again for this presence. This is not about long speeches. We have a few very esteemed presenters this afternoon who's going to share with you their vision, their path, their network and knowledge in their specific field of expertise, all aimed at helping us to be better and more informed so that the next move we make could be more deliberate and more towards that success that we are targeting. So please help me welcome our first presenter or speaker for the afternoon, Mr. Nigel Jones, to formally welcome you and introduce you to the concept of OneJamii. Please, Mr. Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure just looking at everyone in here. We have people from all different parts of the world. And this is the idea behind the OneJamii. We are all one at the end of the day. And community, community, community is I live by that. This started approximately 10 years ago. And I'm not sure how many of you guys might know of an app called Promo Grenada. But I must say thanks to Dr. Fletcher and also Mr. Simon. They were there with me from the conception. The idea started, it's a simple concept where I left Grenada 37 years ago. And when I started coming back to Grenada, I started noticing that I have to ask individuals about where can I find simple things, whether it was events, whether it was tourist attraction, a restaurant I wanted to visit, and I was like, there must be an easier way. But fast forward, we now have OneJamii. As Simon would have mentioned, the word Jamii means community. I must thank everyone for coming out today. I'm just pretty much echoing what Simon would have said. You taking the time off to come here, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to us. And I don't want to take up much more time, but we have quite a few presenters who will come and share some valuable information. So once again, thanks everyone. I'm going to hand the mic back to Simon right now.
Thank you, Nigel. One more time, please put your hands together for Nigel. He didn't say a lot of words, but I hope you understand what this really means to persons like him. And those of us, again, who live in the diaspora, who lived in the diaspora, or who still have this connection. I myself, being also a part of the Toronto diaspora, though I live here in Grenada, I see the potential. I see first, second, third generation Grenadians. I see my kids and their friends and so forth wanting to come back, invest, buy land, get into business. And most times they don't really have a reference point that's a Grenadian. And there are Grenadians involved in certain things. And they end up setting up businesses in other parts of the world, other Caribbean countries and so forth. And we lose out because we don't have a network that they can plug into and say, well, look, Daddy's friend has a business that can learn or can use my ideas or concept, and you can build it from there. And so, or mommy's sister, mommy, you know what I'm saying? So we can begin to talk like that as family and leverage the great knowledge we have out there. There are kids out there, or I shouldn't say kids, sorry. We have connections out there, Grenadian connections, family and so forth, doing wonderful things in business, in industry, engineering, science, and you name it. And sometimes the solutions are right at home, but we spend millions of dollars trying to get experts from other parts of the world to tell us things that our children can tell us. Could you imagine that? Because we don't have a network. We don't know what Joel's son is doing. We don't know what Kadim's friend is doing. So we are in limbo sometimes, finding talent and pulling this together. Now, one of the feature presenters we have this afternoon is no stranger to excellence. So I want you to help me welcome to the front here, Dr. Stephen Fletcher, please. Put your hands together for Doctor.
I may not be able to keep this holding in my hand because that is my phone. Sit here. That's fine. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am indeed happy to be here to share with you my thoughts and my own experience to some degree on this very important event. I want to thank first Mr. Jones for inviting me to be part of this. I will be referring to my phone from time to time, so you'll have to bear with me as I stall occasionally, but bear with me. But nonetheless, we have quite a healthy lineup of speakers, so I will try to make this presentation as short as possible. They say as short as a short pants. I was going to say something else, but I used that phrase some years ago, and Calypsonian Scholar was in the crowd, and he matched me up after that. So I'm going to say short pants instead of the usual phrase, as my colleague here said. So we're going to make it short enough to entice you, but long enough to cover the subject matter that we have at hand. And I'm actually speak a little bit today about the future. So if I can forecast, what's the future of the real estate market in Grenada? What is the future of property development and so on, right? I do not have a crystal ball. I wish I did, that I can gaze into it and tell you precisely what is going to be. But I do have, and I want to share with you, some key factors that should be considered in your own determination of what you think the future is going to look like. But I'll run the risk of saying to you that it looks good. Grenada is ready for business, and ready for business on all fronts. And all of us, Grenadians, non-Grenadians, visitors, friends of Grenada, we are invited to participate in this process because we're in a good journey and we are in a good place. So I want you to bear with me as I go through this process. What's my objective in this 15 minutes I'm given? Basically, I want to entice you to invest and build Grenada, a Grenada of opportunities. That is what Grenada presents, an opportunity for all of us. All of us have an opportunity to get involved, to invest, whether it's in our private homes, whether it's in business, whether in commercial spaces. We are invited to participate. So I hope that by the end of the 15 minutes, I will be able to take you through that journey, to give you an understanding and to get the mindset and to understand the parameters by which we are going to work to arrive at the appropriate decisions. So the first point I want to really dwell on is to give you a sense of what we call the different segments of the Grenada market.
We're going to segment that broadly, and then later on I'm going to get into a more detailed analysis of it. So I will segment Grenada into 3 major property segments. One, we have the high-end foreign capital market. And that is dominated literally by CBI Investments and St. George's University. They are the dominant players in that area. And we can count the businesses and so on that are involved in that space. The second part of the market is what we call the domestic or the local market. It's a very vibrant and very robust space. Locals are into investing in properties, in improving houses, in purchasing land and building. Yes? The third segment, which I think is very important and coming into play in a really big way, is government. The government has embarked on a program of providing land and houses for development. And that segment must not be neglected as you plan your investments, as you plan your future into the properties market. You got to ask yourself, you as a private individual, which part of those 3 segments you are going to fall in, but also which part of those 3 segments offer you an opportunity. So let's get into some micro issues, and I have divided the talk further into what are the key things that drives the property market in Grenada. So I've broken it up into the micro issues, some small issues that interact with us, and then some macro issues that we have less control over. And at the micro level, I'll tell you there are 6 things that are driving the real estate market in Grenada, that's really driving the property market. And I want you to pay attention to those. And when you leave here and you reflect on those factors. Now, I'm not saying I'm the guru in this area, but I have some ideas. You will find more. I cannot tell you all in 15 minutes. We'll have to spend the day doing a workshop on it. But listen to this. One, we have a stable political environment in Grenada, stable political democratic system that exists. Secondly, we have a strong and persistent local or domestic demand for properties of all sorts and types. It's growing. That is driving the market. So the individual going into the banks, and we have some banks here today, we have insurance companies and so forth. Speak to them, and they will tell you that there is an increase in demand. The third area that we need to look at is we have a robust local architecture in this country, that regardless of what there is recourse. We have laws, we have a court system that you can find recourse. Now, it might take a while, and you may argue about that. That may take a while, but the point is that you have it. If something goes wrong, there's a redress. You don't have to go searching the whole world. We are very small, and you can find us, all right? The fourth area is that we have a financial sector that has an appetite for real estate. Everything they like collateral. Every loan is collateralized. How much land? Now, some of them is moving away from it, and there's a higher risk taken, but still, as you persons who are interested in property development and investment, you know that there's a financial sector, whether it's banks, whether it's credit unions, and so that are there to provide that kind of support. In my research, for example, I asked a couple of persons in the banking sector and credit unions, if you got 2 loans before you, one for land, one for business, all right? With nowhere that business would have no land or serious, collateral to back it. Where your head will tend towards? I understand the majority said towards the land, right? So understand that in your mix. The fifth area that I want to mention as well, drive around Grenada. And I suspect that the audience comprised of persons local and, visitors and friends. But we are small and would have been around the island. And one of the things you would observe, especially as you leave St. George's, you leave the south, and they go either east, north, west, the number of properties that seems to be abandoned. These represent opportunities. They are not things to be cried, but they are opportunities that are waiting for us. That too is driving the market. More and more I'm hearing of persons who are now looking for property to develop. How you call it? Fix-upper, right? right? You're looking for that. So you're in that space. So we understand, we're on the same page. And finally, I want to make the point that Grenada is small. 100 years ago, they told us we had, 133 square miles. We don't have that for development anymore. We are competing with agriculture, residential, commercial space, and large hotels development. We have that. So this is one of the things that will drive the demand for land, for properties, and certainly the price. At the macro level, I want to say the following. The first point I want to make is that Grenada remains a very friendly place. We are some of the warmest people in the world, very peaceful part of the world as well. And as turbulence takes place in other parts of the world, Grenada provides a comfort zone. And therefore, there is increasing request and demand for persons on the outside wanting to invest in this nice place, this calm, beautiful place. It is one of the major macro drivers. In others, we don't have control over it really, but it is happening and it is unfolding. So we need to bear that in mind. The other major factor that is driving this property development here is the Citizenship by Investment Program. This is something that is providing an impetus and a catalyst for growth, especially the high-end part of the market, which I mentioned earlier on, in terms of the segmentation of the market. We have companies like Grenada National Resort that is operating in St. Patrick's area. We have seen last suggest what's happened with Six Senses in last suggest. These things are happening, folks. What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? Do we understand the impact and the catalyst that they provide? And then we have, and this is where again the government part of the property market comes in, we have Polaris coming into play. Polaris is more than just a medical facility. Polaris represents a catalyst for development. And we have to think about it in the context of health, but also as a catalyst for overall development, especially in the property market. So let me move on to talk about other aspects of things. I'm going to bypass some of the things that really affecting the market that you need to look at. I did an analysis that went down to the parish levels and asked myself, what can we offer at the parish level? And I have pulled something in every parish, but I would not bore you with what's happening in every parish, the opportunities that exist there. We can always have a bilateral on it. But I can tell you this. Let me make these general points and group some of them together. Although in my presentation, I basically separated them, disaggregated every parish, because every parish have opportunities. Do not think about development of Grenada only in the south, right? I say to people all the time, I'm a country boy. You know, I live in the south, but I'm a country boy. And the country outer parishes represent real opportunities that we sometimes blink at. We sometimes do not see it. So in the south, we have high density development taking place, high-end developments, mid-range condos developing and so on. And that's one of the things you have to look at in the future, what kind of properties we want to have. But the south is intensely, you know, real estate, concrete, and so on, mixed with some beaches and so forth. But that's taken, that's given. Let's look at other opportunities that exist. St. David's, the Green Parish still, the Virgin Parish. What there is, it's losing its virginity, right? Bit by bit, it's losing that virginity because Six Senses and so represent growth possibilities, opportunities for persons, locals and non-locals to participate in that development. Yeah? St. Patrick's, St. Andrews, St. Mark, St. John, heavily agricultural, but also there is a cultural dimension that we need to see how we can leverage, right? In St. Patrick, for example, rich in history, rich in culture. St. Andrew, there is a growing, it has been known as a food basket of Grenada for many years. But what does it represent for Grenada right now, in my humble opinion, as someone who has been paying attention to development over the years? St. Andrews is ripe for what we call an agropolis, a city that is driven by agriculture and technology. We have the base. There is TAM CC up there, what we traditionally call a farm school. How can we leverage that, right? And how you as possible investors, possible landowners, right, see the opportunities that exist there, but also the opportunities that exist for eco-friendly living. Recently, I was in Apotut, and I saw a nice little house, wooden structure, in the junction of Apple. I don't know if anybody see your boy near this in it, and it's marked for rent. And immediately I thought, wow, that's a cool idea. You have coupler that's spotted around the island in intensely agricultural area. That is romantic enough to have us wanting to go up there and spend a weekend, right? Spend a week. Get family and friends out there. Nice little, I think it's no more than probably a 1-bedroom, but well fitted and well suited, right? So we have those possibilities. And lastly, I want to mention Carriacou as a great opportunity. Carriacou represents a number of things for us. Carriacou represents, in my view, very calm, serene place for relaxation. And as we grow older, we'll be looking for some of these places, right? But it's also a mecca for yacht services, right? They have a large and growing yacht area there. But we also have the possibilities for high and middle income investments, high level, high quality, upper end investment. Because when things are small, we do not go into the mass market with it. I think when things are small, you take it and you get the best out of it, and that will be reflected in terms of prices and so on. So much more can be said on this, but as I point out, so let us talk about some of the risks, because there are great opportunities in all the areas, in government, properties and development, in housing. SGU provided a great catalyst for the South. We have local demand and diaspora demand, and these days we have to look at the diaspora in two angles. We have two aspects, rather. We have the indigenous local diaspora, our family and friends, indigenous, that are out there. But increasingly, through the CBI program, whether we philosophically support it or not, we have other Grenadians out there. That forms part of the Grenadian diaspora. And we have to acknowledge that, and we have to accept it. Yes, whether we philosophically in that space or not, it is a reality, right? So we got to think about that as well. So notwithstanding those, there are some things I want to ask you to put on your guardrails on, right? And most of you, I'm seeing some folks who have been in this business over the years, and you probably know much better than I do about some of the challenges and risks that you have in that area. So one of the big risks you have is challenges, not a risk, a challenge, is doing business in Grenada. We take time. We take time. We have a Grenada, no problem, it's going to be done. We can put it off for tomorrow, it's okay. You come at 3 o'clock, the office closing at 4, but we cannot wrap up now, I have to close off now. You have to be mindful about that, and you got to guard against this. So when you're planning your time to come to Grenada or to do business, bear that in mind. Don't let the pressure go up so much. We must push for change. We must not accept it, because time is money. Money is time, right? So we must push it and we must encourage it. The other factor we must also look at is the cost of construction. And that's a serious issue. And to a large extent, we import most of our costs. Most of our costs come through what is called import inflation. When the prices go up out there, it affects us. Something we have no control over it. And in a world that is going through turbulence, great turbulence, we are facing the consequences of that turbulence through higher costs. You must decide how you're going to manage it, right? That is something for you to look at. The other challenge you're going to have is workforce issues, and I think we're all very familiar with it. And finally, I want to put on the table that we must be careful and we must bear in mind the changing climatic conditions that we are faced with. I think those 4, there are many, many more, but for today, I want to put that on your head. What are some of the recommendations? What are some of the strategic recommendations I will leave with you? I will leave the following. One is to focus on microgeography. What I mean that focus on parishes. Go into the parishes, spend some time, visit St. Patrick, St. Andrew, and so on, and you can find some nice, areas that's worthy of investment. Whether it's buying a piece of land and build, or whether you, in fact, you're going to buy a property and do it over and so on. Now, one of the things I have here, which I must state about the Grenada market, one of the features of the domestic market is that we like to own the land and build, right? That's what we are as a people. We must own the land and build. Why? It is cultural. We were told from the time we were born that we must have a roof over our heads. Our parents drilled that into us. And how are we going to have the roof? It's not by renting. They don't want us to go out and rent. They want us to own the land and build on it. And where they did not have the land to transfer to us, we must go out and own it and build. That's it. That's important if you consider in the Grenada marketplace. So focus on those micro areas. The other thing is that, as I mentioned before, our land space is getting less and less. You know, we had a rule in this country which said that you cannot build higher than a coconut tree. Yes, I understand it's in the law, but I've never seen it. Don't quote me. All right, I understand it's written, but don't quote me. I've never seen it. I've never read it, but I understand so. The challenge we have now with increasing population, Grenada now is a hot item, and it will be a hot item for a while. People will be coming, Grenadians returning home, second and third generation. It means we may have to go up rather than across in building. And I see someone here from the DPA, in fact, 2 DPA persons, they may tell you that. We have to start to build multiple units. Think about it, right? The southern area is rapidly over-concentrated. It's too dense. Invest in other areas. I want to re-emphasize that because I think we have real scope for out of the southern area development that we are not looking at in a serious way. We need to pay attention to it. So that's one of my recommendations. Look outside of that. I also want to put on the table that we must leverage the benefits of the CBI program. Now, I'm not here to talk about CBI, but I think the CBI offers great opportunities for locals. Recently, the law was changed to include a nice carve-out point for locals wanting to use that facility. Inquire about it. There is an IMA office, right? Call in, inquire. There are agents, and so locally, leverage that. It offers opportunities for development in that space. I also want to say to you as a recommendation, as you build, generations coming forward now are very concerned about climatic issue, sustainable development issues. As you design your thoughts, your buildings, and so on, bear in mind that this is something you must take into consideration, sustainable design in real estate. That is very critical. The other thing that you must consider, folks, is Grenada demographics. As persons who are interested in real estate development, one of the first things you ask yourself, well, is there a population that can support what I want to do? All right? We have an interesting mix. We have a large percentage of young folks. But we also have an increasing and rising population of persons like myself, the elderly folks, right? The needs are different sets of needs, right? If you were in my marketing class, I would have run you through the product life cycle and tell you what populations in various stages of the life cycle requires. So we have a growing youthful population that want access. They want to be able to live in a nice property, in a nice location, but they want it to be sustainable. They want you to take into account the environment in which they live in and to respect that environment. And we also have an aging population that will probably exit from our individual homes. I mean, you know, I'm not throwing anything to my dear friend to my right here who wears a yellow shirt, but you know, we have this thing where we are aging, we are going up that space, and you have to cater for that. Only 2 days ago, I was reading an article from out of England, and I think it's in Hull or one of the city areas. The planning authority rejected an application for another home for the elderly, for assisted living. Because one of the arguments that were made is that, hey, you're turning the tongue into an old people's tongue, a retired home, a retired tongue. And they asked, where are the young people going to come from to generate the businesses, right, to make business dynamic and so on. But nonetheless, the point is that in this Grenada, you have to recognize those things. And my recommendation is based on a straight business logic. All right? You don't have to build to size and build to purpose. All right? But there are opportunities there. So we need care facilities. As I end, I want to end on this note. And it's for all of us, whether we are Grenadian by heritage or Grenadian because we're born here and we nibble stringberry here, as we say, right? Or whether we become Grenadians by whatever other method. There are two things I want to put on the table as I depart and hand over the mic. One is that there is a need for us to always pay attention to our local laws, our culture, and our customs in land. Land is something that evokes emotions from the Grenadian people. Access to land, access to beach, access to things that we are accustomed to. I'm not saying we should always hold on to what we are accustomed to and used to, because sometimes if we do that, we are limiting our developmental momentum. Sometimes we need to change. But I want to caution that as we embark on this journey, we must be mindful of it. Because at the end of the day, I tell you this, every Grenadian wants a piece of the spice. Every Grenadian wants a piece of the spice. And we must invest in such a way that we allow that to happen, that is facilitated, and so on. And the final point I'm going to leave you with on this is, and I want to tie it together. Anybody here from St. David's, the parish of St. David's side, La Sagesse, we know La Sagesse very well. La Sagesse is not just a beach and a place where we have recent development. La Sagesse represents, for those of you who do not know, La Sagesse represents a major turning point and a major point of struggle for Grenadian access to land and beach. You must have heard of the Lord Brownlow struggle, who was the man that owned that house where there is now a restaurant and accommodation. He attempted to put a gate to deny people access to the beach. And this was the first People's Court that was held in Grenada, under the leadership of Maurice Bishop. He was not Prime Minister yet, he was just a lawyer. But they were People's Court. And I'm saying that to make the point that to be mindful of developments as we embark on a journey. And the final one I want to appeal here to, and some of you may or may not know of it, it's a Bajan song that we embraced throughout the Caribbean. Jack don't want me to bathe on my beach. Jack don't want me to bathe on my beach. So in the midst of all the opportunities that exist, in the midst of all that I've said, hopefully to entice you to look at the investment possibilities and opportunities, at the same time we must identify the risk and we must put on our guardrails to ensure that we do things in a harmonious way for all of our people in the name of the company that is doing this, OneJamii, which is one community, one people, one nation. Thank you very much.
One more time, let's head for Dr. Stephen Fletcher. This was indeed a masterclass on all we need to know about investment in Grenada. If you agree with me, another round of applause, please. Thank you. By the way, we have drinks at the front. It's kind of hot. It wouldn't be considered rude if you step up and serve yourself. Let me show you. I'm actually topping up my glass now with a little bit of this stuff here. There's water next door. We have an in-house rum punch. I'm not here to promote the company that makes it, but just for your information, it's made by the #1 rum company on the island that I'm somehow affiliated with. Right, but this is real estate this evening, so we're not talking rum today. But yes, please, go ahead, please, you know. This is a networking experience, as I said, and for the folks who just came in, I want to thank you. Come on in, close the door. Let's keep the AC inside cool. Those of you on the outside, just come on in and shut the door, please, thank you. All right, you can even hang out in the corner over here. We have some space towards the back, okay? So let's do this, all right? Now, I was happy that we placed a lot of the historical context of what this is about, because unlike a lot of other experiences, we deliberately call this a community activity where we have a couple things in common, such as the fact that we are Grenadians, whether by birth or because we love Grenada so much we naturally become one or became one, right? And we have invested here. This platform that we're going to be launching, there's going to be a new addition to it, a new rollout that's going to be giving more enhanced features to OneJamii. As was mentioned earlier on, from Promo Caribbean to OneJamii, this has been a journey of, I would say, a global team of persons putting their heads together, from as far as Gujarat in India to Toronto to Grenada to wherever we would have had a lot of these techs developing this platform for us, understanding our needs, and understanding the fact that owning a platform is an empowering thing. Let me just step out a little bit and just give you this little bit of history. Mark Zuckerberg does not own the internet. He owns Meta, a set of apps that uses the internet, and we provide content for that, and then he monetizes it. If you place something there tonight and he doesn't like it, he can kick it out. And if you know Mark, if you have his phone number, you may call him and try to get in, but that's very difficult. You'd have to go through a couple of weeks of protests and so forth, and you might get it reposted. That's the power of ownership. OneJamii offers us an opportunity to own a platform where we can post our content, we can develop our community, we can put things there and share and network without having a Mark Zuckerberg or somebody else say, this is not something I want on my platform. This is going to be our platform. If you think that's just a good thing, give it a round of applause. Yeah? You agree with me? For a long time, we thought that these technologies were something other people always had to own. So we had to jump on a bandwagon, but we're building it ourselves now. And this is part of this new approach that we're going to be trying and doing. So mark this moment, mark this day, and let us process what that means for us as a people to empower us. So you may have a property you're thinking about developing, something that you're looking for venture capitalists to invest in. And these two people, they may have some money that they don't know what to do with yet. And this person there is a contractor that wants to develop a concept for sustainable buildings that you didn't know was around you. And you put it up on this platform. All of a sudden you're talking. Tomorrow morning you're in the bank doing business. And talking about the bank, we're happy to invite the banking sector. And in particular, there's one bank that we call the People's Bank in Grenada. We used to call it the Penny Bank once upon a time. And they have grown to a very powerful institution that we all are very proud of. So please, put your hands together. Let us welcome the Grenada Cooperative Bank to give us a short presentation. Thank you.
Do I have to hold the button? Right? Do I have to hold the button?
No. Just keep it about.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see all the faces. I didn't realize, when I came in, I didn't realize there were so many faces over here and over here as well. My name is Frankel Marshall. I am a business assistant with the Grenada Cooperative Bank. Oh, sorry, hear me now? Sorry about that. My name is Frankel Marshall. I am a business assistant with the Grenada Cooperative Bank. And this afternoon, I'm just here to do a very brief presentation to you guys to provide some just a bit of an eye-opener as to how simple it could be to, when you're looking at approaching financing for whether it be properties or whatever solution that you may need. We specialize in that, so I'm just making it a bit more simple for you guys to understand just how it's not very daunting to get financing. Very often when it comes to these things, property management, property purchases, and things like that, people are usually a bit daunted by the aspect of financing. Yeah. Yep. Anyways, yep. So we at Grenada Cooperative Bank, we are the only indigenous bank on the island. Many people don't know that our operation started over about 94 years ago in 1932. When we initially started, we were only a very small branch at the Church Street, and over the last 90 plus years, yes, please. And over the last 90 plus years, we have grown immensely to now having over 300 employees and 5 branches across the island. We serve more than half of the population on the country, over 60,000 people, okay? And we do our best to provide a wide range of tailor-made solutions for our clients so we can help them as much as possible, okay? We pride ourselves on being customer-centric and making every effort to put the customer first in every decision while serving the communities in which we operate with a very high level of pride. We take a lot of pride in that. Okay. See here. Okay. In light of those solutions, we were desirable of providing clients with what we call our Build for the Future solution. Okay? This pertains a lot towards properties, land purchases, home purchases, and home construction. Okay? The objective there was to try and shift some of the mindsets of clients towards incorporating climate-friendly and sustainable solutions when constructing or purchasing. Okay. The Build for the Future solution is what we are trying to have as a comprehensive and holistic solution for a lot of our clients, and try to provide affordable and attractive opportunities to pursue property ownership while protecting the lives of themselves and their families and the investment they have made. Okay? Under the Build for the Future solution and our tailor-made solution right now, we offer 100% financing to clients for land purchases. Okay? It's 100% financing for land purchases along with a 30% discount on the legal fees. Dr. Fletcher would have discussed some of the legal aspects when he was here a few minutes ago. We offer a 30% discount on the legal fees. So you would cover 70% of the fees, and we would cover 30% of those fees. And you will have as much as 15 years for repayment, and this is specifically for land purchases. Okay? This does not pertain to mortgages for house purchases or house construction. This is strictly for land. Okay? When it comes to house construction or home purchases, we also offer 100% financing. We also offer that same 30% discount on the legal fees. You cover 70%, we cover the other 30%, but you have up to 35 years for repayment. Because for the majority of people, whether it be land or home, a mortgage is the largest financial debt that most customers are going to incur. So just to put your mind at ease, we offer as much as 35 years. It's typically up to retirement age, but the retirement age would vary for some people. And we are very flexible when it comes to these things. You can, the mic is off. So there's, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's what we offer right now. We offer 100% financing on land purchases and home purchases and home construction. Up to 15 years for land purchases and up to 35 years for home construction and home purchases. Is there something wrong with the mic? Okay. Under the Build for the Future campaign, we also have a point-based criteria that clients can utilize to substantiate that they are incorporating some of the climate-friendly and sustainable aspects into either the purchase or the construction of the home, and that allows the clients to benefit from reduced interest rates. Okay, we have, I won't bore you with all of the details, but we have a calculator on our website. You can go to grenadacooperative.com and you can visit have a look at the calculator, and it will show you just how well you can incorporate certain things, whether it be the purchasing of AC units or solar panels or water tanks, things like that, and how those things can help to reduce the interest rate that you're going to get on your facility. Under the same campaign, this does not really pertain to today, but we also offer solutions for vehicle purchases as well, 100% financing for brand new vehicles, whether it be new vehicles that are gasoline powered or not solar powered, but electrically powered or hybrid vehicles. We offer 100% financing on those as well. Okay. Now, for most of these things, people need a bit of understanding as to what are some of the requirements. So when they are coming in or making contact with the bank, so that they know exactly what they have to carry with them and how best to engage us. Okay. Some of the required documents usually stay a bit standard across the line of facilities that we offer. For all locals, you will need to provide an NIS card along with employment confirmation. That would be a job letter. If it was to be self-employed individuals, then you provide whatever documents you have for the business that you operate. Okay. You would also need to provide confirmation of the income for salaried individuals. We would need to get a recent payslip or recent payslips depending on how you are being paid. If you're being paid fortnightly or if you're being paid monthly or semi-monthly like our government employees are being paid right now. Okay. If you have any existing debts, we would also need to get an idea as to how those debts are being serviced. So you need to provide some level of statements for those debts as well. For land purchases, you'll need to also provide title deed, survey plan, property valuation, and up-to-date property tax. Okay, these are all things that you should be able to get from the seller if you are looking to purchase a piece of property. For home purchases, we will need to get a valuation of the property. Okay, the rest of the documents would pretty much remain the same. Yeah. The rest of the documents is pretty much remain the same, but we need to get a valuation of the property along with a sale agreement and life insurance to cover the value of the facility that you are taking with the bank. Okay. For homes, you would also need to have home insurance coverage as well. Okay, so the majority of the documents, that would be the identification, that would be NIS, things like that, and the employment confirmation, whether it be a job letter or business documents for self-employed individuals, along with salary slips and things like that, they remain constant across all the different facilities. The variation would be in what you have to provide, whether it be a land purchase, which would be the title deed, lot plan, and stuff like that, or a home purchase. You'd have to get a valuation done on the home, along with the life insurance coverage and things like that. Okay. Now, that is the majority of the gist of what I am here to speak about this afternoon. The campaign that we have on right now, it ends on September 30th. Okay, so as much as possible, if you are able to come in and engage us, or you can make contact with us, whether it be on our website or our WhatsApp number, just feel free to connect with us so we can do our best to help you discover just how easy it is for a piece of Grenada to belong to you. Okay, and that's the gist of my time here this afternoon with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Okay, I think I need to change mics. One more time for Mr. Marshall, please. Come on. Okay, this is a little better now, so we can shout less. All right, how are we feeling? Still hot? There's some drinks here. You guys not drinking it, so what's the problem? As I said, you're not an antisocial crowd. Would you like a drink? What do you want? Some water or some wine? Okay, let me give you a bottle of water. Anybody else want some water? I'm in the mood to serve, so speak now or else I'll stop. Okay, anybody else want water? Anybody else? Okay, fine. Anyway, the water is here. We got wines. There's some really good quality wine too, you know. We have some nice color Rossi. So we're not really skimming on the good stuff. So please, we didn't bring it here for display, it's to be drunk. Yeah? So let's try and utilize the good service of Chateau de la Motte. Right. Now, when we investing, period, it's always a risk. And in order to ensure that if there are problems, we have some level of security, insurance is a huge part of it. So again, I know most of you have a pretty good idea as to how you go about protecting your investment. But again, just because we're a family here and you want to make sure that you understand as part of the OneJamii family, we have in-house experts and persons who are here to help you navigate that space. I want to introduce you. In fact, I'm not going to introduce you. I'm going to tell you we have a gentleman in our midst as an expert. So I'm going to call the insurance expert. He has to run off soon, so I kind of modified the agenda to accommodate him. So hold tight. So I want to introduce our in-house OneJamii insurance expert to come to the floor. He'll introduce himself to you. You can also ask him questions too. So this is not just a one-dimensional conversation. So please, if at some point there's something that's been said that you need clarification on before he runs off. I mean, afterwards the other folks are sticking around for the good food back there, but he's gonna have to run. So that's the only, I'm gonna ask you to put him on the spot. Ask the tough questions now. Try to get a contact, a connection. Because once he's gone, he's hard to find sometimes. Please, put your hands together for my good friend. Come on up. All right. So he will take you through this next conversation.
Good afternoon, everybody. For most people who know me, they know me as an insurer. Antillian Group. We are a local company, family-owned company that started back in 1985. I'm second generation, and there's a third generation coming pretty in the next 5 years. He will be back. Yeah. Now, while my career is that of insurance, starting in the UK back in 1995, ultimately I am also an investor. Anybody have heard of Point Marquis in St. David's? So 5 families nearly 20 years ago came together in their individual right and bought 201 acres, now somewhere around 205, and purchased that lot of land, which originally belonged to Lord Brownlow. There were 3 properties put together to create this development. We bought it from individuals, 7 of which were from the US and 1 from the UK. The one from the UK was a pilot, and he discovered that property and saw it as a peninsula that is plateaued. So it doesn't have sharp ridges, but rather rises from the sea. 20 years on, what was the objective? Essentially to sell land. Like most of the developments today, they sell land. When you think of Egmont, when you think of Westerhall Point. And so we joined that bandwagon. What was our unique feature? We're the only development in the country that all the infrastructure is on the ground. The model basically followed from what is now in SGU. The actual engineer who did SGU's work was the one who designed that infrastructure for us. So I'm very proud to be part of that family development where you had so many different families come together. The message behind that is that while we think of things as individuals in terms of investment, we need not necessarily. That we can actually come together, have a unanimous shareholders agreement. In short, a little document protects everyone in terms of what it's meant to do and everything else that goes with it. Yes, we have a board, and for quite a while, we struggled with the administration of it. Finally, last year in 2025, we opened the last 120 acres, which is waterfront. So we hadn't sold anything on the waterfront in more or less 18 years. Why? Infrastructure, trying to get rid of the lands that were there before we opened out. In 8 months, we sold 60 lots. All of this is to encourage you to invest, and it can be done. What is Lassages today? The culmination of what would eventually be the town of St. David's. And this is a study that was done way back. They said that was the most suitable site for a town. We're not going to be, as Point Marquis, the only ones, because we do have about 4 acres dedicated for commercial activity. However, the dream, if you are investing, is to make sure that not only having something you could lose, but stick-to-itiveness. It's the most important part of investing. And to be able to protect that investment, you have to be steadfast and work towards that. So we had a lot of problems. So anybody who's thinking of that type of investment where you say, okay, I'm going to put down a few buildings or whatever, you have to have stick-to-itiveness and be able to work with the utilities. Because, yeah, we had our hell. When we were trying to get it up after the economic downturn, guess what we were told? Grenlec told us, no, we don't have electricity power to get to the end of the peninsula. Again, drop back. The design of the actual, what did they call them? The units that would help, the generation units that would help you transmit, the transmitters. We didn't have any in Grenada. They were like 8x8 houses. Now, new technology. They're about 4 feet wide and 3 feet off the ground. And if you go through Point Marquis, and you'd notice some green sort of substations. I'm trying to bring this over to you to tell you it's possible that we can actually do large developments by coming together, raising capital. As part of an insurance family, and I'm chairman and managing director of that group, we have 2 insurance companies. One, general insurance. We insure some of the largest properties on island, from hotels to ports to airports. We involve in everything. However, on the other hand, we have a life insurance company, both of which are independently capitalized. That means they have their own capital, they have their own management, they have their own board. Yes? So structure in any business that you do is very important. And there is not an interrelated component where one shares one bank account. They're 2 different types of business. So it's important that if you are doing a development, let's say somebody came in with the land and you decided you're going to put up the capital for the building, make sure that you have the structures in place to deal with that eventuality. We're Grenadians, so we're proud to be investors in Corp Bank, for example. Proud to say that we're in the top 5% investors in Corp Bank. So we are here as an organization. Now, I don't want to bore you too much with the elements of how to get an insurance policy, but there are things that you need to know specifically. Declaration of material facts. So whatever you do, you must declare what are the facts related to the business. So we do quite a lot of business insurance, yes? Be it property or otherwise, yes? And that's where many people seem to be sort of cagey about, oh, I don't want you to know business. You see, if you do not declare upfront what it is that you're involved in, you run the risk of not being able to claim should that unforgettable moment happens. If you are devious, and therefore, when it comes to life insurance, underwriting is important. Oh, we have a lot of gimmicks around. Oh, $250,000, you don't need to do any medical. You see, if you didn't declare that you had a pre-existing condition, later on, that may prove very dangerous for you, in that your claim would not be realized. Yes? If you insure a building, but you didn't say that you are part of a partnership or a company, that there are other investors involved, then you are not disclosing material facts. Yeah. Yes, if you are a limited liability company, you don't have to say everyone's there, but at least it is known that that is a limited liability company. the auditors and the banks will ask, well, who are the beneficial owners? And that you will have to declare, including that of IDs, etc. So, again, I don't want to beleaguer you with the, I would say, the boring part of insurance, which I can speak on for the whole day. But I wanted to use the connections between investment and insurance. What is insurance? Essentially, insurance is the way life works. It facilitates the way life works. A plane can't travel, a boat cannot come in the harbor without there being insurance in place on both ends. One, to receive that transportation, and two, the port that's receiving it, whether it's a ship terminal or a plane or an airport, it can't land if there's not insurance in place. And those are the international conventions that we enjoy in terms of being part of the bigger world, and that Grenada has. So let's talk a little bit about Grenada. Just following up from Dr. Fletcher's, Grenada is the first in the Eastern Caribbean to have what you call an IXP exchange. So we're talking about technology now. It means that the content that comes to you on your phone is not from out there, but is what comes through here. We have gone so far as now being able to set up a data center. In fact, we do have a data center. So I encourage most of you to have a .gd name for your internet. You can buy your own name, your domain. I did. My name's Kennie John. So my domain name is johns.gd. Yeah? Why is that important? IP addresses are important to identify your business and ultimately will decide how much business you can do and where you can do it. Yes? So it's very important, and I know I'm going all over the place, but I'm trying to connect a lot of things to allow business to flourish and some of the things that you would need to do. Setting up business in Grenada, it has its challenges. I wouldn't say that we are the best in the world for that at the moment. We are not even top in the Caribbean. We have some challenges in terms of service, and it's that service we need to work on. But the service is attitude. I recently attended the Diaspora Conference, and one of the questions in a working group asked, well, what do we need to bring the diaspora closer to the people who are here? Simple. Understanding. You see, most of the people who live in the diaspora are accustomed to structured ways of working and living. So when they come here, ours is far less structured. Yes? We have had to make things happen because of the lack of structuring that goes back. And this is business-wise, this is economic-wise. We are so big, so we did not have and don't have the money to invest in structuring the way and the laws that bigger countries have. But if we can bring two people together, understanding that you in the diaspora will have to be patient, and likewise those of us who live here have to be patient and understand that there is a synergy. I think everybody wants the same thing, the development of Grenada. So, insurance is the way the world works. And those of us who try, we have probably all names to call insurance. But in the larger countries, they tend to embrace that. And that is one first item that everybody buys. Why? Collateral. And most people think of insurance, oh, that's for when you die. Absolutely not. You don't build an estate when you die. You build an estate when you are alive. And so having the necessary collateral to be able to afford these investments, yes? The banks are not going to give you money if you don't have collateral in place. If not insurance, but maybe land or something else, but the banks will ask for that. Not much longer, I wear a lot of hats. So I want to give a shout out to the CEO of the Planning and Development Authority. who sits here with us, and Ms. Janice Coffey, who is also a member of the management of Plan and Development Authority. I just happen to be the deputy chairman. Now, development of Grenada, and this is why what we're experiencing here is such a wonderful thing, to spread news about what is happening in Grenada and how we can move forward, and we need to educate ourselves. Unfortunately, I believe that a lot of us think that laws are for foreigners and not for us. I am a Victorian, so there is something happening in Victoria. It's carnival related. A part of what happens in Victoria. I was actually born in Victoria. Not just from, but born there. Yes, I was born at home. Parents who was my mother from Victoria and my father from Carriacou, who both got scholarships to go to secondary school, one convent, one GBSS, because their parents couldn't afford to send them to. And these two people worked so hard to build what I am fortunate to experience today. It means, therefore, that we always have to look at the next generation and understand our position in the building block. You see, I'll make a very controversial statement. However, it's the truth. It's not too long ago, our forefathers and mothers were indentured workers and slaves. And it takes the sacrifice of many generations to break that cycle. And that cycle means that we have to understand not just what to invest in, but how to invest. The Caribbean, the EC in particular, we have one central bank. That is huge. Think about the United Arab Emirates. We have one appellate court system. The only thing that we're missing is that political unity to really pull CSME together. Thank you very much.
You see, I didn't disappoint you. One more, let's hear it again from Mr. John. I told you, he is indeed one of our in-house experts, and thank you again for spending the time. We can send you to go off to Victoria, to enjoy the old mass for us, but it's carnival, we're gonna get a piece of it still after, right? Yeah, any questions, of course, you could always leave it with us. We have a way of getting him. If you have cards, you can leave it on the corner here. Or let us know, we can network. I mean, in fact, everyone here, we're going to have a chance to leave your credentials before you leave. Just to let you know, as part of making sure someone goes home even a little happier than they came, we're going to have a raffle, right? Have any of you heard of Stonehouse? It's a property in the south. We have some of the investors involved in this property here. So you have an opportunity to win, is it a weekend or one night? What are we doing? 2 nights. All right, that's a lot of nights. 2 nights in Stonehouse. It's a beautiful property. And we're going to be giving some tickets, so make sure you have a double ticket, right? And we're going to make that draw before we end this afternoon. We have the pens here, by the way. So that's Stonehouse up here? That's the images of Stonehouse? There you go. Right, so it's a really lovely property. In fact, maybe I can let the property owner, or Nigel, if you want to speak about Stonehouse, you can entice the folks about Stonehouse. But I like it. I've been there a few times. It's at the same time futuristic. It captures some of the traditional elements of the plantation, home structure. And oh my, it's a lovely property to spend a weekend. You'll impress somebody with that, okay? Now, talking about where we are right now, the time, I got some news for you guys. It's not gazetted as yet, but as of very soon, OECS nationals who are looking to buy land in Grenada no longer have to apply for alien land holding license. Are you listening? So you know what that means? The floodgates are open. Yeah? So those of you who have property in Grenada understand the importance of that piece of news. You heard it here first. Need I say more? Well, Grenada was the last OECS island to allow that to occur. In most other islands now, as a Grenadian, you can go there and buy land as if you're a citizen of St. Vincent or St. Lucia or so forth. We were holding on to this for a little while, and we just passed the legislation a few days ago. It's going to be gazetted very soon. That's now going to allow any other person to come in to this region, to Grenada, and act just like you and I to purchase land without going through the loophole of applying for alien land holding license. So, that little piece of property that you thought nobody didn't want, somebody go want it. Yeah? That little piece of precipice you thought only the guru could jump off is no hard property. Somebody go want it. Right? So understand what's happening and the value you have in your hand. Right? Work together, find the partners in this room if you can, and do something tomorrow morning if you can. And a matter of fact, not if, you can, because you have some power. Use the power, please. Right? Now, you're getting tickets right now, which you are going to place in a raffle of some sorts. We're going to make a little draw. You're going to take one end, keep the other end, and then we're going to pull out a lucky winner, and you're going to get to hang out in Stonehouse. All right? But we have a few more presentations. Again, I want to encourage you folks to drink up those things in the front here. They're not for decoration. We have rum punch, water, wine, and some other spirits and softer drinks behind there. So please enjoy that hospitality. We have food in the back there. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of long presentations, with a few short ones. Then we're going to go to the back and have food and network a little more. But I just want to invite to the podium now a dear friend of mine who has a great amount of experience both in the private sector and public sector. And he's going to give you a bit of a short presentation. All right? So please put your hands together. Let us welcome Mr. Joel Johnson to the floor, please. Thank you. No problem. Right, so folks are asking where the bathrooms are. Garfield, the bathrooms are right next door where I'm pointing on this side.
There's one here.
Right.
And then you can walk through this bedroom and there's one.
There you go. To the bedroom, another one over there.
And if we have a line, let me know. I can show you the third bedroom.
Okay, so you got it, folks? On both sides, opposite the cameraman, one door is partially open and the other one to the next bedroom there. So if you need to use the bathroom, please do so.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here among so many distinguished guests and participants. I am honored to be here to speak to you for the next few minutes, specifically on real estate. I wear many hats, but this afternoon I'm representing the Grenada Realtors Association. For those of you who don't know, we've been around for many, many years. We have over 15 members as a part of the Realtors Association. And for the next few minutes, we're going to speak a bit about real estate and things surrounding it. But before I go any further, I want to lighten the room a little bit. I find we've been a little uptight and we don't know each other. Some of us know some others, but we don't know what sectors you represent. We don't know where you're coming from. So when I call your sector, please you could stand and make a wave so at least we have an idea as to who's here and what sectors you represent. Is that okay? We understand that? And if I'm speaking too fast, tell me, I'm Grenadian, okay? All right, so who's here representing real estate agents, real estate organizations, companies? Who's here? All right, good. We have 2 persons, 3 persons so far. Excellent, excellent. Who's here representing you are an individual property developer? You have beautiful properties like this one, like my friend here who I met. Quite a few persons. Excellent. So you have your own properties, you do short-term, you do long-term, you're a property developer, and you might just be part of the OneJamii family, and you might just have properties listed there in the future. Anyone here from the construction sector? You build beautiful places like this. So you see the hands, you're looking around, right? So at least when the networking starts, you know who to speak to. You might be looking for someone to build for you. Who's here in the electrical sector? You're doing electricals, plumbing, so on? Because that falls under construction. Who here are evaluators? Any evaluators? You're a land after any evaluators? No? Any engineers? Any architects? Not here? Okay, so quite a few persons did not put up their hand. Who did I miss? Where are you guys from? You guys are just inquisitive persons? Okay. Developers.
No, but we have individual private,
Private investors. Private investors, private entrepreneurs, persons interested in investing, interested in real estate. That's the rest of you, right? Anyone else I forgot? I'm sorry? Okay, the regulators, yes. And I've seen some friends from the regulatory authorities here. So regulators, put your hands up so we know who the regulators are. So we have planning and development. Who other regulators do we have here? Okay, I forgot to mention the legal fraternity. How could I forget you? Excellent. So this is just the beginning, and like I said, I don't want to take too long, but Grenada Realtors Association, like I said, we've been around for quite some time, and I've only recently been elected as the president. And I'm here to just speak a bit about what we do and some of the challenges we have and advice that we're going to give. But before I mention this, let me just say kudos to the previous presenters. Put your hands together for them again. Where's Dr. Fletcher? He left? Everyone that presented, there was something about what they said that resonated with me. And it really touched me. First of all, I'm going to start with Dr. Fletcher. I'm also from St. David's. My family's from the Lasages area. So growing up, I always heard the story about my great-grandfather being involved in that thing he mentioned in Lasages with the gate being moved. It was my great-grandfather. And I never knew much about the story until about 5 to 7 years ago, I started hearing that story more and more and more. And I inquired, and I realized that my family has a key part of history in St. David's. So Dr. Fletcher, thank you for bringing that back to us. And then we had the excellent presentation from Cooperative Bank, who I must say I am a customer of Cooperative Bank. My first mortgage was with Cooperative Bank. So I thank you for that presentation, and I've had excellent experience. See my friend there? But excellent experience with Coop Bank, and I continue to go back to Coop Bank. And then we had a presentation from my good friend, Mr. Kennie John, and he spoke about insurance and the need for it. And he also spoke about that area in Lasages, again, Point Mackie. And ever since I was a boy, being from that neighborhood, I used to run around those lands there and play. So when Point Mackie became available for sale, I sacrificed, well, my good friend Roberto is there, so Roberto knows, and I was able to purchase something in Point Mackie because I've been from that area and I'm very passionate about property there. So I was honored to purchase it. My only regret is, Roberto, I wish I bought more at the time. You still have. Those phases are maybe beyond my reach. But nonetheless, it's beautiful, beautiful areas, so I encourage you guys to go there. Why did I start on this premise? Why did I start on these connections? Because this is what real estate is. Real estate isn't just a sale. Real estate isn't just meet someone and they buy property. Real estate is relational. People buy, people rent from you based on a connection that they may have with a particular thing or connection with a particular area. So in the real estate sector, we encourage persons to focus on your relationships, build your relationships. Networking events like these are key for you to make connections, build connections, and strengthen the connections you already have. In the real estate sector, we have quite a few different persons that are involved in it. Of course, we have real estate companies, of which I'm a part of. We have real estate agents who work on behalf of these companies. Of course, we have property developers and individuals who have their own properties. We have persons who buy land, that's all they want to do. They buy land and then they flip it. We have persons who buy buildings and they renovate. We have persons who build buildings and they rent. Some persons only rent short-term, some persons rent long-term. In the real estate sector also, you have some key players that you need to know. Key players that you need to know if you're involved in real estate. You must engage your lawyer. Do not buy property or try to sell property without speaking to a lawyer. So we have a lawyer here, he's going to present. So you're going to see the importance of having a legal mind on your side. Evaluators, they are very, very, very important when you're making real estate decisions. Many times persons come to us and they may want to sell property. They may have a particular price point in mind. But when we engage evaluators, what you want for your property and what the actual value is too far very, very different things. So your evaluator is very, very important in whatever you're doing as a realtor or a real estate agent or a real estate investor. Who else play a very, very key or critical role? Of course, your realtor. We are there to guide you and share with you knowledge that we have, institutional knowledge as to where the properties are, where they're located, the best way to get it, and we walk you through the process. There are many persons who try buying property for the first time, and they encounter so many hurdles that could have been avoided if only they had a qualified and professional realtor to guide them through. So I encourage you, whoever you're trying to buy property through, ensure that that person is qualified, ensure that they know what they're doing and they have some experience. And of course, from the association, I'm going to speak about this right now, ensure that your person is registered. One of the challenges we have in Grenada that has really been spoiling the sector, we have quite a few individuals pretending to be realtors. You may see properties posted on Facebook, whatever. They have no contract with the persons, the owners that they're trying to sell the properties for. No contracts. They have no formal training in real estate. They don't understand the laws. They don't understand the practices, the policies. They don't even understand the sales cycle. And these are persons who are somehow making contact with persons in the diaspora, making contacts with our investors. And when these persons interact with them, it makes it look like Grenadians, they don't know what they're speaking about. It shows that the sector is very unprofessional and disorganized. I know it's a challenge that we've been having for years as to how do we regulate such a sector. We've been having discussions and talks with the government, with Inland Revenue for the last few years as to how we could regulate that. We're still not there yet. We don't have all the solutions. But I'm going to start right here. Those of you who are in the sector and you're engaging individuals, ensure that they are licensed and registered. In terms of the license is something being sorted out now. We're trying to get the government to reduce the license fee. The license was very high. It was $5,000 a year. That's even more than lawyers pay, right? Just joking. Yeah, so real estate agents they've been paid that license for the past 10 or so years. Of course, it's difficult when the registered agents are paying that license and you have others who are not paying it and they're operating in the same sector. So that's a challenge we have. Other key persons in the sales cycle that you want to keep in mind, that you want to know, of course, your bankers or your credit union. Some persons, you choose to go to a credit union, you may go to a bank, but it's very good for you to understand in terms of what the requirements are, what they expect of you before you try to engage someone. You don't want to sign a sale agreement, and that sale agreement gives you 90 days to close, and then when you get to your bank is asking you for things that you cannot produce within the 90-day period. So try to ensure you engage them before, you know what is required, you know what is expected, so when the time comes, you have everything that you need to make the process as smooth and incident-free as possible. We understand it so far, right? I'm making sense? Excellent. I realize quite a few persons here are your own property owners. You are your own property owners. And that means you have listings, you have apartments to rent, you have buildings that you may be selling. Persons may come to you from time to time to rent your properties for you, to list your properties for you. Again, ask them some key questions. Have you had any experience in that before? Are you registered? What's your website? What do you use? What sort of rate are you expecting from me if you get my property rented? I've had many persons come to us and say, oh, Realtors Association, you all need to do this. This person charged me half of what I get in rent. I'm like, how? Didn't you guys have an agreement before? So ensure you have your agreement so you know exactly what your responsibility is when your property is rented. Also, you may want to have some sort of anonymity in terms of who comes to your property. Don't just keep your eyes closed, a blind eye, and that person, they bring anyone into your property to rent. Especially around this time, right? Based on the property you have and based on what you invested, you may not want too much jab coming in and damaging your sheets and your towels. So you may want to set some ground rules and ensure that they cover those things. You ask the relevant questions and you speak to the person marketing your property and say, hey, whoever that you get to book it, although they're paying their money, I want to meet that person. I want to know who they are. I want to see if they have any reviews, any testimonials from that individual before. And I'm pretty sure that the OneJamii app will be able to provide that. You'll be able to see a history of the persons trying to book your property, if they have any reviews from previous persons who rented from them, because those things are very, very important. Now, some of you know me from the public sector. I've spent almost 20 years at Inland Revenue, so I have to touch on the tax sector of it, the tax segment. In the real estate industry, quite a few persons get bothered by the VAT. A few of the persons who are listing their properties, they charge you VAT. And we are aware of it from the Realtors Association, and most of them, I must say, are not registered for VAT. So check and see if you're paying VAT to an individual that is renting a property for you or getting listings for you. If you are, ask them for their VAT registration number, ensure that they could provide it for you. If not, do not pay them VAT. We have quite a few complaints about that. Yes, there are some companies who are VAT registered and they will charge you 15% VAT on the service they provide, but quite a few of them, the majority of them I would say, are not VAT registered and they should not be charging you VAT on that service. If they are, ensure that it is legal. Ask them to present the VAT registration number, and whenever they charge you VAT, it should be clearly written on the receipt that they give you. So please look out for those things, property owners, investors, real estate practitioners, investors, all who are here. The last thing I want to speak about is just, it was touched on earlier in the presentations by others, but just to mention the fact that Grenada is a small island. We know that, right? And it's gotten pretty much smaller with so many investors coming in. Now, while that presents opportunities, there are also threats there. Some of the threats that we've been seeing in the sector, we have seen a decline in the amount of Grenadians purchasing properties here. A significant decline over the last 5 years. Yes, that might be a good thing. You can look at the different sides of foreign investment. They might be able to do bigger, better properties. But at the same time, for me personally, as a Grenadian, I am very passionate about Grenadians, my Grenadian young people, owning some property. Own something. Own something. Own a part of Grenada. Don't wait until everything is gone and sold out or the price point is too high for you to reach before you could try to own something. So advice to the young investors here, look for something. Don't always look for the properties that are already developed because they might be expensive. Search out properties that you might see. You need to have foresight or vision and say, okay, in the next 5 years, I'm seeing a road already built 100 yards along the road. There might be a road here in the next 5 years. That property might be cheap now. Now might be a good time for you to buy that property. Don't always think of that property as your only property. There is something called first and second. I remember my first property like it was yesterday. When I bought my first piece of land, I was living with my parents still. When I paid the bank, I had no money. No joke. When the bank took what they had to get, I had no money remaining. But thank God I live with my parents. I do a little farming, I sell a little corn on the side of the road, and I made ends meet because I wanted to own something. And that was just the start of it for me. I bought that first piece of property. After 1 year, somebody offered me almost twice the time what I paid for it. I was able to flip it and buy something else, and that's how you start. So I want you guys, those of you who are young, upcoming individuals, try to own part of Grenada. Don't just sell for someone else. Try to find something that you could own. It may not be in an area like Lansapine or True Blue. Everybody calling for property. Oh, we're looking for a piece of property. The budget is 80,000, 70,000. Okay, where are you interested in? We'd be happy to help. Oh, I want St. George's. I want something flat, and I want it with a view. Okay, flat and with a view? Okay. Tell me more. Yes. And it has to be under $80,000. And it has to have a road, electricity, water. I want very, very good neighbors. So you need to be realistic about what you're looking for and what you want. And that goes not just for the young buyers, but even for the experienced buyers. Be realistic. You may want to put an apartment building, and you may say, okay, I want to be in Granans, so I want to be in town. But based on the cost of constructing right now, you may want to think somewhere a little further out. Somewhere a little further out in an area that is developing. Stephen Fletcher mentioned St. David's again. It's really developing. It's booming now. There are some parts of St. David's where land is still kind of reasonable. And Roberto going to tell you Point Mackie still. You can get Point Mackie. Of course, it's reasonable still. So get something there. Don't just think about it now. Don't just think about the areas that are already developed. Think about the areas that have potential to be developed, that you could build something there and you could grow your investment in the next 5 to 10 years. It's not always about the immediate gain, but it's about something to come. That's one. And next thing, Simon mentioned the fact that the law is going to change and soon would not be required to have an alien landholder's license to purchase property here. But I must say, even before that law actually come into play, we've seen so many foreigners buying properties already. I think for the year, I don't have the exact stats with you, I could probably get it next time, but maybe over 45% or maybe over 60% of the properties bought were foreigners. And we have the realtors who are here, they will tell you that quite a few foreigners are contacting us looking for properties. And the challenging thing is, when they look for properties here, their budget for property is most times higher than the local budget. So when a foreigner comes and they offers me 10 US a square foot for my lot here, Although I was planning to sell it for 10 EC, because they want it for 10 US and they're willing to pay me, I'm not going to refuse. Do we refuse it? We sell it for 10 US. And what does that do to the property next door that a local was going to buy? It raises the value. So right away, that local now has a challenge in buying that property that they had their eye on for the longest time. But now because foreign investment came in, they bought it at 10 US. Now the owner's going to ask the local person, can you sell it for me for 10 EC? And they're like, but my neighbor right next to me sold piece just last week for 10 US, and my land is better than his, so why should I sell to you for 10 EC? So it comes back to what I said earlier about really trying to secure something. Try to invest. Those of you who are young, those of you looking for property, try to get something in Grenada before it is all gone. It may look like we have a lot of land still, but it is going very, very fast. And of course, with more real estate agents on the market, we are selling because that's what we need to do to make a living. So we are selling. But in selling, please try to keep the local persons in mind. And the last thing I just want to mention before my time has fully elapsed is the fact that we need to utilize our marketing and networking strategies and also utilize the technology that we have. Gone was the day when we could just have a property, beautiful as it is, and just think persons are going to come. Okay, I'm going to put it in the yellow pages. Oh, will that work for you? No. So that's why I want us to embrace platforms like these new platforms that are coming on, OneJamii, embrace technology, embrace social media, embrace Instagram, post your properties. And when you're posting your properties, there are key things to remember. Number one, pictures. Get good pictures. Your place could be beautiful, but if you don't get the right pictures, you don't get the right lighting, it looks terrible online and no one is going to book it. Ensure that your pictures are clear. Property description. Be very careful with how you describe your property. Ensure you detail what your property offers. Ensure you detail what your property provides so persons have a clear understanding of your property. Number three, like I said, I'm going to close with this one. Utilize the technology. Utilize the technology. Utilize the technology. That's the last one. I said this was going to last, but there was one more thing I forgot to mention, and I want to mention it. It came up earlier in terms of the business side of things. And I want to close. I am going to close on this one. We have some lawyers here who could offer more support. Many of us, we may spend years and we may invest lots of money investing in a property, and when we're gone, that property just goes down the drain. Think of your property as a business investment. Structure it as a business if you can. It might be family, you may have children, and you may think that the children may want to continue it after you're gone. You may be dead wrong. They may just be interested in traveling in the world. So think about getting your business structured properly. It's not going to make sense for you to invest so much time, energy, and money and build this beautiful property, but you have not structured your business properly, so when you're gone, the business could continue. Think about business continuity, and I will say that I've been doing business continuity for over 15 years, so it's important for you to think about what happens to your business if something happens. What happens if I get sick? What happens if I am crippled? What happens if I can't walk? We don't like to think about these things, but these are realities. What happens when I'm gone? We wouldn't be there forever. So think about how you structure your business. Think about also, the lawyer's going to touch on those, having a will. What happens when you're not there and the property has to be handed down? Those are some of the many challenges we have here in Grenada. There are nice properties that we want to buy as sell for persons, but it's tied up in legal disputes. Because when my great-great-great-grandfather died, he never left a will. And now you have 10 children and 3 outside children claiming the property. Nobody could get it. The property can't sell. It's nice prime property, but it can't go nowhere because it's tied up in a legal battle. So structure your business in a way. Make sure you write a will. Clearly state what's going to happen to your property in the event that you're no longer there, and plan for it. If you need advice, I'm sure there are persons here you could talk to today to network that could help you in planning the business side of things to protect your real estate investment. I thank you so much for your listening here, and I look forward to networking a little later on.
Let's hear it again for Joel. Come on. Again, part of the OneJamii family. And I must stress that, I keep saying this is a family affair. There's no coincidence in the name OneJamii. For those of you who are late, the word Jamii is a Swahili word for community or togetherness. And we are more powerful when we are together. When we understand the resources that we have, both internally and around us. And as a community of people, we need to do more of that. We have to leverage more of what we have. Yeah, because somebody is going to come out from very far away and realize that we are disorganized and not together, and then say, okay, keep them fighting. I'm going to take this property, I'm going to pick up these two, and before you know it, you're squatting on your own land. Don't let that happen to us. I'll tell you a story. I like to sail a lot, so I sail the Grenadines a lot, right? It just so happened that my wife's connection is in St. Vincent, so we have family between the both islands. So my in-laws on Beckway, you know, we sail up when my friends are moving the catamarans up and down. And we'll go to a place like Kanawhan. About 20 years ago, when you sailed on Kanawhan, most of the land on Kanawhan was owned by people who are from Kanawhan. Right now, the Italians own one half, the French own one half, and most of the natives of Kanawhan, I don't want to sound condescending by saying this, but they are security guards and maids in these properties, and they're no longer owners of the properties. Could you imagine if they had leased these things out, got into joint ventures with those investors coming in, how different it could be? I don't want to see my Grenada become like that. And that is why, for us, OneJamii is speaking to that. That's just one example of so many things I've seen in my short life that I think we have a good opportunity now to change, not tomorrow, but now. Teach your children about succession planning. Understand how money works. Take them to work with you so they understand how you make business decisions. Let them see the home you own as a business, the properties you own as a business, and understand how that can set up the next generation beyond them. We got to start that, okay? Right, so right now, I am going to introduce someone to you that's a part of a very important entity which authorizes the development and construction of properties in Grenada. This gentleman is the CEO of the Planning and Development Authority of Grenada. So please help me welcome to the front Mr. Alan Gilbert.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you see, if this mic wasn't working, I could have done it without it. I trust that we're all doing well. It's a delight for me to be here and to be sharing with you for the next hour. I'm just kidding. It's only 10 minutes I have, and I was given a number of talking points. And when I looked at it, I said, if I really had to do justice to it, it would take me about 2 hours. So I need to collaborate with the organizers of this engagement so that we could meet, because we have lots of things to talk about. When I look at the various talking points, and even just recently joining the PDA, just about more than a year now, I recognize that most people don't know what the Planning and Development Authority is about and what are their functions. Do you know? Ooh, that was not very convincing. I only heard one little yep. So I'm assuming I'm correct with my assessment. And I would typically say about 80% of Grenadians are not fully aware of the functions of the Planning and Development Authority. Unfortunately, I cannot take this time to tell you about that right now. It would just take us a very long time. So you know what? I did a few notes to talk about. And I was saying, I know most persons will be doing speeches, so how could I make this different? I was thinking, well, we are in the festive season. Maybe I could sing a kaiso on it. If you shout, yeah, yeah, I will do it. Yeah. Oh gosh, I will forget to say I was joking. Now, I could sing, anybody get an old guitar, I will do something. If you can find one, I will do it. But if you don't, I will just do a poem. Now, so I converted my few notes into a poem just to make it a little different from just giving us a typical speech, talk about the few points that was given to me, although it's in context. Before I do that, because at the end of the poem, I will stop at the end of the hour, I just want to say that the PDA is evolving pretty quickly with new management. We are increasing our capacity, adding some key functional persons within the authority. We are going to be going digital very soon, hopefully by the end of the year. Applications will be done digitally, and you'll be able to log on, check your application, see how it's progressing and all that. We have a check consultant framework that is coming very soon. All the applications are in. Our appeals tribunals will be set up in the near future. We have lots going on. And we're moving into the area of physical planning, hopefully next year, and zoning, because you notice we have persons calling and complaining. I build a building here, and now I have somebody setting up a concrete batch plant, and it's going to produce dust and so on. So all of these things are going to be addressed, and hopefully we need to, as there's a famous saying that when the rate on the internal is less than the rate on the external, the end is near. And so the PDA can't go anywhere, so we have to accelerate the changes to meet the growing demands of climate change and to ensure that we have climate resilient buildings, and also, while we're doing that, be sustainable. So it's a lot to talk about. I wish I could have asked you if you think that you need to apply to the planning authority if you're going to erect a fence. And what do you think is the answer to that? Yes. So you hear I'm hearing yes, and I'm hearing no. So hence the need, that's just my one question survey, to know that we need to do more public awareness. In a few days, we'll be having a board retreat, and we'll be sharing our, and we have Ms. Janice, who is here. She's our Chief Administrative Officer, and her role is going to be evolving into also dealing with communications, because we're coming up with a new communication strategy, and we're also going to be rolling out our customer service charter. So there's a lot of work. Actually made 2 days. I worked Friday evening up into Saturday morning at 2 a.m., and I worked yesterday for the whole day into midnight. So that's just because we have so much going on. So it's a lot of work, and we need the government support, we need your support. And so I'm now going to just take the rest of the hour to read this poem. Not the hour, the 10 minutes. 5 minutes, probably less. And then I will be done. Building the right way. Before the first foundations laid, before the final plans are made, success begins with thoughtful care, a vision built that's strong and fair. Planning is more than lines on land. It's shaping futures hand in hand, protecting homes, investments too, creating places fresh and new. Good planning keeps our risk in sight and guides each project toward the right. It guards the earth, the skies above, and builds communities that we all love. The journey starts with just an idea, a concept clear, a future near. Seek early guidance, ask, prepare, submit your plans with thoughtful care. Technical reviews then play their part. Experts examine every part. Agencies consult and weigh, ensuring quality every day. When permits come, the work can start, but follow plans with faithful heart. Monitor every stage with pride. Let compliance be your guide. Too much rush and pay the price, ignoring sound and wise advice. Buying land before they know whether zoning lets them grow. Incomplete drawings, setbacks miss, drainage plans that doesn't exist, changing design without consent can lead to time and money spent. Today we strive for something more, better service than before. Digital tools to speed the way, helping customers every day. Climate resilience lights our path, prepared for nature's changing wrath. Through stronger teamwork, clear compliance, we build a future with reliance. Sustainable communities stand like treasures, jewels across the land. Green spaces flourish, waters flow, walkable streets help cities grow. This is futuristic. Mixed-use centers, buildings strong, designed where people all belong. Built to weather every storm, keeping communities safe and warm. Should be category 5 hurricanes. The future shines with bright potential. Tourism growth is fundamental. Housing, waterfronts, green design, renewable energy helping us shine. The Planning Authority stands nearby, not to hinder, but to guide. Engage us early, work as one. Together, greater things are done. Submit complete applications well. Let qualified professionals tell. Communicate from start to end. The PDA becomes your best friend. Remember, well, these keys so true, they'll help bring every vision through. Plan before you make the buy. Ask the question, reason why. Choose professionals you can trust, for careful planning is a must. Meet the PDA from the start. Let's collaborate, or let collaboration play its part. Build exactly as approved, so every project can be improved. And finally, think beyond today. Build at least in every way, for lasting value we create depends on choices we make. Good planning builds prosperity, protecting all for you and me, our people, property, places too, our planet bright, our future new. Thank you very much.
One more time, let's hear it for Mr. Gilbert. Come on, put your hands together. You know, he has some talent. I think we can have a OneJamii Toka Kaisu or Toka Poetry next year competition. You know, we have some talent in this house. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay? A little hot still? You want some water? We have wine, you know. Nah, we have wine, I'm saying. We have like good quality wine. You know, so you could top up. It's the season, you know. It's Spice Mass, you're allowed. Right. So those of you who just came in, it's a self-service bar. You wouldn't be classified as being rude or interrupting if you actually come to the front and serve yourself. Let me show you how it's done. You see over here is rum punch. It's my glass. I just go here and check this out. Right. Okay, you see? It was done very easily. Right, we have a lot of food outside, and we're not going to have you sitting down much longer. I want you to go out to see the properties we have listed on OneJamii so far. I also want you to get a chance to play around with the app, download it if you haven't downloaded it yet. What's really good about the OneJamii app is that beyond just the static images, we actually can give you virtual real estate tours. That is something very unique about this particular feature, both on Android and on Apple. The message about the technology, we need to really underscore that. I know my generation and most of us beyond mine, those technologies seem a little bit, wild out there. But it's the new tool, is the new language of reaching and bringing the community together. As mentioned earlier on, OneJamii, just like the meta group of apps like Facebook and Instagram and so forth, is one designed by us. We own the app. It's your app. So unlike if you post something on Facebook and Mr. Zuckerberg figure he doesn't like your content, he can kick you out, right? That's not going to happen if it's your app, because it's your community. The internet is no longer an intimidating space where we have to wait for a big brother out there to tell us what we can or can't share. we can build our own community space. This is a virtual community, OneJamii, where you can post your skills as a contractor. I need to get some tile work done. I got to finish up some stuff that some guys messed up tomorrow morning. Can you handle the job? You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of interactive space we want to have. You got a property, you're looking for some venture capitalist, you're looking to see how you can promote it for seasonal rentals, etc. That is the space that we want to push, that you can do that kind of networking. Lawyers are very important. Sometimes you have a love-hate relationship with them, and part of our OneJamii team, we believe we have a bunch of talented individuals in the legal profession who have really guided a lot of us, and they come with excellent track record. One such individual is a gentleman I've known for many years, and he's here with us. So I want to give him the opportunity to speak with you today. You get to meet an individual who can help you to navigate the legal space and to give you, again, a crash course. This whole evening is like a master class in development, whether it's real estate or business development. And we did not spare bringing the experts to you. So please help me welcome to the front, Mr. Francis Paul.
Thank you, Simon. Well, unlike CEO, I need a mic. Thanks for being here, and everyone here, I can say family. So thank you, OneJamii, Chateau de la Motte, and whoever else responsible for making this possible this evening. So, I had slides prepared, but obviously I can't use the slides. So I would bore you. They say lawyers boring. So I come to bore you, but it's important. My advice is how you protect your legal investment and the legal aspect of purchasing property in Grenada, what you need to know as a citizen and non-citizen. So there are two parts. One piece of land. You have a citizen on one hand, and you have a non-citizen on the other hand. Now, safe to say, and thanks, Granger, as Simon said earlier, you have that SRNO, Alien Landholding Regulation Order 11 of 2026, and it is gazetted. It was gazetted on the 17th of July, 2026. What it now means is that if you're a citizen of an OECS member state, then you are no longer considered an alien, and you do not need an alien landholding license to purchase property. So if you're a citizen, you purchase freely, no restrictions, ordinary conveyancing process, 5% transfer paid by the vendor on sale. So you have the first $20,000 is exempted, and you pay 5% on the remainder. And you have full mortgage through the local financial institutions, whether it's a bank or credit union. But if you are non-citizen, not a member of the OECS, then you must obtain an alien landholding license first, and that's governed by the Alien Landholding Regulation Act, Cap 13. You pay 15% transfer on sale if you're the vendor, but if you're the purchaser, you have to pay 10% on purchase. CBI purchases are exempted from the license. So how the alien landholding license works? There's an application you submit to the Prime Minister's office, police record, certificate of character. It takes approximately 3 to 6 months, or maybe more at times. Cabinet considers the application, review it, and if it's granted, then you pay the 10% fee on approval, and you go through the normal process of agreement for sale already in progress. You get your loan, or if you buy it from your pocket, you go to your attorney, your conveyance is prepared, stamped, registered, and title legally passes to you. Now, citizenship by investment changes that route. If you are a CBI investor and you invest in a CBI approved project, then you don't have to pay the alien landholding license, but that's only for CBI projects. So the conveyancing process, how it works. First, you sign, well, you're a real estate agent, you go to your real estate agent. Some folks sell by themselves, but you go to your real estate agent, you see a piece of land, you make an offer, your offer is accepted. So now it comes to the point where you have now an offer and acceptance letter, and that is signed by your real estate agent, the vendor, and the purchaser. The next step in the process is entering into an agreement for sale, and that's the important step. This is what binds you. So it's serious business now. So the vendor's attorney would prepare that agreement for sale. The purchaser's attorney would peruse the agreement to ensure that all is in order, and then the parties execute it. Now, if it's a cash sale, my advice is that you can say 45 to 60 days for completion. But if it is a sale whereby you're being financed by a financial institution, whether it's the bank or the credit union, then ordinarily it is 90 days. But in an abundance of caution, what I would advise folks is that please try to be pre-approved. Because although you have that 90 days and you think that's 3 months, you have sufficient time, you don't have sufficient time. Because many times I have to write on behalf of purchasers to the vendor's attorney and say, look, we need an extension, we need another 30 days because the bank is not yet ready. Or ask the bank, can you send an email or a letter saying what's the status and how much time do we need? So I'm saying all this to say that if you're pre-approved, then I think that you can complete within 90 days. But if you're not pre-approved and you go into the financial institution, when you sign that sale agreement, you may find that 90 days is insufficient to actually complete the transaction. Also, if you are a non-citizen, then you know that when you sign that agreement, you have to move early to ensure that you make your application. The next step is that searches are now conducted at the Deeds and Land Registry, because you have to ensure that the vendor, the land is yours. You say you're selling, but do you have a good marketable title? So you want to ensure that that vendor has a good marketable title for at least 30 years. Must be at least 30 years, right? Also, you want to ensure that that vendor, when you're doing your due diligence, does not have a judgment against him or her. Because what that means is that judgment attaches to land. So if there's a judgment and you have not done your due diligence and it is missed and the land passed to you or you, right, it means it passed with the burden, it passed with that judgment. So always ensure that your due diligence is done properly. After your due diligence is done, you get your financing from the bank, everything is approved, monies are disbursed, payments are made, the vendor is happy, purchaser is happy, the deed is stamped and registered at the Deed and Land Registry. It may take about a month for you to actually get your deed in your hand if you're a cash buyer. Or if you are financed by the institutions, then you know that the bank would keep your deed as security. And also the prior title deeds. So this is something, again, you have to ensure that the vendor has prior title deeds. Because if the prior title deeds are missing, then that would delay the process, because it now means that you have to do a declaration of lost title deed, and also you have to do an indemnity. The vendor has to give an indemnity saying that I am missing these title deeds. If it comes into my possession at any time later in the future, I take the responsibility to give it to you, but I also indemnify you from any costs, any expenses you may incur by the fact that I cannot find this deed. Right? 1 second, please. So what are the costs associated with purchasing or selling property? So you have the alien land holding license, as I said earlier, is 10% of the value. The vendor pays property transfer tax, which is 5%. You have legal fees, which is approximately 1 to 2%, well, over 1%. There's a breakdown, but usually you can say 2%, just to round it off. You have annual property tax, which is 0 0.2 to 0.5% of the value of the property. So why do you need an attorney? Why do you need boring attorneys? And you know how folks feel that attorneys just take we money. I don't need a lawyer, I can do it myself. And I hear that all the time from vendors. But purchasers, yes, you know that you need an attorney, but vendors always say, no, you know, I can do this myself. Why do I need an attorney? You need an attorney to ensure that your due diligence is done. You need an attorney to prepare, if you're the vendor, to prepare that contract on your behalf, to ensure that everything is locked in, all your terms and conditions are there. In the event that there is any default, then you have something to fall back on, something in writing that is executed, signed by both parties, not just an oral agreement. So that is why you need an attorney. You need an attorney to draft the indenture of conveyance, not just drafting the agreement. You need an attorney to your license application if you are alien, right? So what are the common pitfalls to avoid? Signing a sale agreement before the alien landholding application is filed, right? Skipping a title search or not doing a title search properly. Assuming CBI exemption applies outside of the approved project. It does not. Where you have estate property, I'm selling property, but I get the property from my deceased parent, right? Title has not been passed. I have not applied for an administration, letters of administration, or probate if there is a will. So that's another hiccup. Underestimating timelines. When you sign that contract for sale and you pay that 10%, there is a clause usually inserted in the contract or the agreement for sale that if the purchaser is unable to complete, and unable to complete if there is an extension of time, you know what happens? You forfeit that 10%. And I've seen it happen because it's a contract. It's legally binding. So you want to ensure, and I repeat, you want to ensure that you pre-approve, you want to ensure that you satisfy all the requirements to obtain a loan before you sign that agreement and lock in yourself and lose your deposit. So what are the key takeaways here? Citizen buy, there is no restriction. If you are non-citizen, you need your alien landholding license. CBI approved projects do not need a license. And you have to budget for property transfer. You have to budget for stamps. You have to budget for your legal fees. And remiss of me if I didn't say. Now, you purchase in a property and you go to the bank. You have to pay a lawyer 2%. You have to pay the stamp duty 1%. But you also have to pay the bank. The bank would transfer that cost to you. You also, let me put it that way, you have to pay the bank lawyers for preparing the mortgage. And the mortgage is also 2%. And there is also stamp duty on the mortgage. So all these things you need to be aware of as you navigate purchasing a property. It may seem so simple, but it is not. And you want to ensure that you protect your pocket, you protect your investment. Always remember that you cannot do it without legal advice. So anytime you're purchasing property, seek legal advice to do so. Thank you very much, family, and thank you for having me here.
Oh, you got a question, Mr. Paul. Don't run away. Yeah, you on the spot. Question, come.
I know the answer to this one from a planning perspective, and if you get stuck, I'll be happy to help you. But two things. Land subdivision. That's very major, and I'm sure you can handle that, right? And secondly, what if someone has a property and they're trying to sell it, but they've used it to bail someone, for example, and they're trying to sell it? What happens if the court matter is not completed with the individual.
Right. So thank you, Janice. I actually forget the subdivision part. Now, even if it's a road, as long as you are selling part of a property, you must get permission from PDA to subdivide. You have to subdivide. And I've seen it time and time and time again, people unaware of this, and vendors come and to sell property, and you ask, have you gotten permission from planning? And they say, no, what's that? But you selling piece of the land, and they say it's not a development, I'm just selling a little piece. Not understanding that according to the regulations that you must get permission from PDA. Now, Janice, to answer your question, right, it would be something as a sort of a lien. So obviously what they would have to do is go back to the court, withdraw the bail. Because what you have done is say encumber the land. It's like a sort of security. You're saying, okay, well, I place a copy of the original with the court, and I'm pledging that. So I'm pledging whether it's 50,000 or 100,000. What happens if the defendant or whoever, the accused that you're pledging for cannot be found? Then you are responsible. And what the court would actually do is to have a hearing to determine whether or not you should pay, whether it's 50 or 100, but based on your means. So it means that that would be an encumbrance on the land, and you should first go to the court, withdraw that bail, then sell the property. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I told you we have some really talented in-house experts here, right? Now, I know it's coming to the point where you're getting very hungry, so the next two presenters will be very short. And then we're going to all head towards the back, where we're going to get some really good food, locally produced, and of course, network and see some of the information on the apps. Was there a question coming from this end over there? How are the folks doing over there? You awake still? You guys all right? So come on Friday, same place, same time? Right, nice. Just checking on you. Right? Over here look more like a Dimash Gra crowd, right? Dimash Gra, Sunday night, same place? Nice. Well, yeah, how's your back there, right? Good, yeah. So come serve all yourself and be refreshed. Now, keeping in the theme of what we're doing about building our community, I just want to bring to the front of this audience another Grenadian as part of our diaspora community that has a wealth of experience in finance and also real estate. And like many of us, she has one foot here and one foot in the US. And sometimes I can't tell which part of the world she is because I bounce her up just about everywhere I travel. And there are Grenadians in the particular city. So I want to invite my good friend, Ms. Nicole Phillips, to come to the podium, please, and share with you some experience. Put your hands together for Nicole.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's on, okay. Well, my name is Nicole Phillips, and I am a construction manager. A lot of individuals tend to look at female in construction because it's such a masculine industry. But my background is in accounting. I've done it for almost 3 decades, and the industry is construction. So based on that, I manage projects from grounds up. So $50 million, $100 million projects. In 2020, I decided to go on my own and work with people from the diaspora to control and manage their projects here in Grenada. Cost-wise, I'm a stickler, so I really work on budgets, estimates, and ensure that the numbers stays where it needs to be. Now, I know a lot of people in the diaspora has major problems because of contractors. They always say, oh, we need another 10,000. I don't give 10,000. I do give 1,000, and then come back, so do the material. But with all said and done, based on my experience, we need more women in construction. We need more women to, put on the hard hats, and and feel the dirt and understand, not just look at it when it's completed and say, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Be part of the development, be part of it. So I do know that there are a lot of people in real estate and also who are private, investors, and they're running around like, chicken without a head, because the contractor says this and the contractor says that. What I would like for everyone to do is to at least take a real estate or construction class, because I know TAM-CC have those programs. Understand how to read the blueprint, because one of the things, and understand how to count your material, because people tend to buy material, but then they build two homes from the material that from the monies that you're actually spending. So you have to be aware of your money. You have to be aware of your expenses. And I just wanted to say that, I manage jobs every day. Every day I'm on a site. It doesn't matter if it's a $5,000 renovation or if it's, $100,000. I buy properties, I flip them, I'm on the site, I negotiate with vendors, I do all of it, and still look fabulous while doing it. So the hardest part is believing that you don't know your numbers. And the biggest mistake is when you have to go back to the institution, the banks, and say that, I went over and I need some more money. I need $100,000 or $200,000. If you know your numbers and you really look at it and concentrate, you will be able to always build on the budget. The average cost of construction right now in Grenada is about $350 a square foot. If you want to build a 2-bedroom home, which is 1,000 square feet, it's coming up to be at least $350,000, okay? So know your numbers and ensure that you pay attention to the contractors. Make sure your team is strong and they have your back, because that's another thing. Make sure you have a really, really good team. I don't want to keep you guys longer, but just to let you know that I am here to help. And I know it can be stressful, but once I put my hard hat on, I'm a totally different person. No money is spent without accountability. So investing, and I'm just calling out for the women here, come join me. We need to represent in the industry. Come along. So thank you.
Give it up for the fabulous looking Nicole. Yeah, man. We love to see intelligent Grenadian ladies looking so fabulous and doing such an outstanding job. Brilliant, intelligent, lady. Is Nathan here with us? Nathan! He's wearing the OneJamii shirt. Give it up for Nathan, come on.
Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I'm Nathan Peters. First of all, Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Nathan Peters, as mentioned. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to Nigel Jones for this visionary, initiative that he presented here today. It's something that I believe is really important. I mean, my journey into that world of real estate and entrepreneurship started at 17, when I had the curiosity of picking up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And after reading that book, that opened a whole new world for me, totally. And I did start engaging in the market more deeply, where I pursued certifications in real estate loan practice with Miss Rosanna John. I then continued with property valuation, and since then, I immersed myself deeply within the real estate market. Now, this event here means a lot to me because as an individual, I prioritize and I take a great sense of significance in relationships, and I like the fact that you, Joel, also mentioned that. Relationship for me is a huge thing, and real estate in itself can feel transactional, but it's more than just being a transaction, but instead connections and the relationship that you build. So that's something that I prioritize for myself. That being said, given I was such at a young age and pursuing that path, it placed me in rooms like this with individuals who can be my parents. Most of the time when I'm in the room from starting up, I was always that young one there. And I'm saying that to say because a reality that I faced during that phase was the notion that young individuals are deemed less valuable pretty much automatically. As soon as you mention your age or so forth, you're deemed as less valuable or less significant. And for many individuals, my age, that can be of a big determining factor to why they should continue or to stop because they're not being valued. But for me, I see that as a great advantage, and instead use it as an opportunity for me to indeed prove, yes, I'm young, but I can be a force to be contended with. I can provide value. I can be reliable. I can offer professionalism in any way that I could. And I went on to buy that notion and buy that belief in me that that didn't deter me or that didn't create a disadvantage for me, but instead a positive. I then went on to publish my very first book in 2025 titled Young Grenadian Wealth, Breaking the Mental Walls of the Young Grenadian Mind. Because and I did that, and it was solely based on the fact that when I have conversation, and now you're making me emotional to be exact, when I have conversation with young individuals, especially who pursue education, sometimes they're doing something that genuinely they don't like, and a person like me, I started that way where I was finishing CXC, I asked individuals, what should be the best path for me? They say, Nathan, get a skill, plumbing, HVAC, and so forth. So I did just that. I went and I pursued HVAC based on social norms telling me get the skill. For the first 6 months, I realized, no, I really don't enjoy HVAC. At that same time is when I started pursuing my personal development, and I realized, why should I continue doing something I genuinely don't like? Instead of just dropping out solely, I made the decision to pursue things that I like, which was entrepreneurship, finance, and real estate. And from that transition, from the HVAC program where I didn't enjoy it, that's how I made my first decision to do the real estate loan practice. And since then, it's been something that I immerse deeply in. Again, I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. It means a lot to me, and I'm privileged to share this room with, as I say, individuals who can be twice my age, because I'm very open-minded to be learning and so forth. So, again, thank you very much. I'm 22. Thanks again. You can currently have all locally sold out. So actually in the first 3 months I brought in 50 and they were sold out. So now I have some coming in.
Real estate company.
So Peters and Co. Real Estate.
OneJamii for sale soon.
Yes.
So
But you can find it on Amazon, and I guess we could connect and I can share it with you. Thanks again. I hope everyone enjoyed the rest of it. That's an inspirational note to just stop and have some food and enjoy ourselves. Don't you agree? Thank you so much for your attention and your commitment to this. Your presence here meant a lot to all of us. This is the start, it's not the end, so I'm not going to say goodbye. We're going to transition out towards the back. We have a raffle to draw. We have a lot of food to eat and drink, so let us continue in this direction. Thank you again. My pleasure.
You know?